Yasuo on the competitive stage. One that Khan for sure can play. One that BDD was spamming in solo queue, but not one they prioritized. They've been banning it on the red side. With the flip over, they ban Morgana themselves. It means that Rakan is the natural pick because that Morgana is not there to answer it. But look on the red side, the Kai'Sa's going to be unleashed for the first time for Uzi.
A champion like Kai'Sa paired with a player like Uzi can spell disaster very easily if you don't keep it under control, and Kingzone will definitely have their work cut out for them in that respect. Alistar also going to be locked in here for RNG.
I like this from Royal. They're saying to Kingzone, look, we're willing to fight you down in the bottom lane. Alistar is great because when the Rakan goes in, Alistar's already now closed the gap to go for that re-engage, and he sets up nicely for Uzi to go for those all-ins, especially once you hit that level 6 mark.
And while I follow that logic, and certainly as the game goes on, you're going to love Uzi on the Kai'Sa, laning phase not going to be a strong point, and Xayah Rakan definitely going to be favored in the 2 versus 2. The map will develop from there. When it comes to priority junglers, I wondered if Peanut was going to go for the Graves that has been a pick for him. He returns his Graves performance from last time against RNG. It has a combat advantage over basically every jungler MXG has to pick up. And if that means that Peanut can invade, that's a good sign for Kingzone's game plan.
I'm fascinated as to where RNG go with this because you definitely don't want to pick the Trundle. Olaf could be an option, but will he go for a potential staple pick of his? And he will.
This is what we wanted him to bring back yesterday. This is a playmaker. You get the drop on Graves, you certainly have the potential to pull off the 1v1. So it's going to be all about boxing with shadows. Whoever gets going, whoever picks up the first kill in these skirmishes can certainly take it all the way to the victory.
And Kobe said he was expecting some of the feast to come in from Feast or Famine, and Lee Sin's the type of champion that I expect that Feast or Famine style to either really shine or totally go down in flames. We'll see how well MLXG is able to play that one as we work our way into the second round of bans. Remember, it's bottom lane and jungle already drafted for both sides, so the solo lanes are going to be hit pretty hard.
You know, and it's interesting, my stats team just buzzed me to let me know that so far this split in the LPL, MLXG yet to play a Lee Sin game. This guy, you talked about Feast or Famine, he's definitely going to have to be feasting, picking this one up for himself.
And you never forget being a Lee Sin god. Just ask Insect, you bring it back eventually. It's going to be great to see. When you talk about the mid lane champion pool, BDD kind of brought himself back to relevance this tournament on the Talia. It's a big pick for Zhao Hu as well. It's actually going to see a ban in the second round. So see where the counter pick is actually going to be held on to for RNG. Usually teams against Khan on the red side will hold top lane pick, especially if you're a tank player, to find a good tank matchup. If Khan's bold enough to blind pick a top laner, that Camille that we discussed is still up.
I'm wondering if Swain becomes a priority here for RNG. Joshua has played it once so far in this tournament and could complement the teamfight style that they are kind of setting up with the Kai'Sa, but it also offers a bit of pick potential on early lane gank setup in the middle lane. It would be a fairly safe blind as well. Alternatively, they could just go for a bit of engage up towards the top.
And this is definitely the one tank. If Ornn was banned, I think you do play around with a last pick tank, but with Ornn up, they just say, what's the best that you've got, Khan? And remember, you played the Camille into Ornn yesterday. We'll see if Kingzone want to follow that logic. Solo lanes are what they desperately need in this last round.
Well, they know what Khan is going to be up against there on the top side. There's the Camille hover that we've heard so much about already. How Khan is so adept on this champion. He's not afraid to take it into a pick like the Ornn either. They'll go ahead, lock that one in for themselves. And now what do they play in the mid lane? It is the Galio for BDD.
And I'm excited to see this is a return to Galio. This is, of course, one of his staple picks throughout his time on Longzhu Gaming into Kingzone. They also have the guaranteed initiation of the Hextech Ultimatum into the Galio. It's an oldie, it's a goodie, but remember that Galio's been toned down a lot in lane. So actually, Zhao Hu has a lot of different options. He can attack it in lane and bringing back the Malzahar. We're back to the start of the season.
Malzahar brought back up here the power of the ultimate, that lockdown potential once you hit level 6, and especially once you have a jungler like a Lee Sin, there's a lot of playmaking power between those two.
Yeah, certainly do at level 6, so much pick potential in the middle lane, and overall in terms of Royals kind of composition, they have a decent amount of mobility, a lot of strong skirmishing, a lot of good pick potential while also decent team fighting. It's just this comp would make a little more sense to me if it wasn't a Lee Sin.
Yeah.
But in terms of the late game value, I feel like they fall off a little bit, but then you still have the Kai'Sa there as well. It feels like Royal, they can have a bit of everything with this comp.
Meanwhile, Kingzone do one thing and they do one thing well. If they decide we're going to fight, we are going to fight. The Camille ult into the Galio, Rakan also throwing a wrench into the plans. If they get going, if they get snowballed, you cannot deny team fights. They will start them.
And it's like you said, Papa Smithy, Kingzone at the end of yesterday looked like they were getting some of their mojo back. We heard from the analyst desk how Kingzone wasn't quite up to the expectations that a lot of people had for the team coming into the tournament. Now they're looking to get that momentum back as we get closer and closer to the knockout stage. If they can go ahead and make this comp work, make it look clean, that'll be a big step.
They certainly will, and I love the fact that we're seeing BDD again on a pushing, roaming mid lane champion. Yesterday he went for the Talia, and he had a phenomenal performance, and today he's on a similar style champion, but can have a little bit more team fight impact with the Galio Camille combo that you were talking so much about, Papa Smithy. And also, it's fine for him to go that way because they have so much damage elsewhere, so much early game power. Xayah Rakan, Graves in the jungle, Kingzone, they want to find that early game advantage.
On to the Rift we go for the first game of day 4 here at the MSI 2018 group stages. You can hear the roars of the crowd in the background cheering on their favorite teams. Like you guys said earlier on, it's the Rift Rivals matchup.
Now, level 1 was how Kingzone on the red side found a big advantage with Graves invading over the wall to the left of where Khan was defending on the top side. So RNG not going to be outdone. They're going to group as 5. Let's see if a late invade is going to come in or if it's just going to be a defensive start, expecting something from Kingzone.
Everybody's holding perfectly calm right now. No itchy trigger fingers just yet. Everybody's cool, just walking around through the brush, playing it safe. Sonic Wave thrown out just to make sure. Khan hanging out in the pixel brush. Won't see anyone just yet. And see the line of sight, just barely missing out on getting vision of MLXG.
So the theory here from RNG is it's following on conventional logic. You see Kingzone play aggressive. There's lots of interviews with Prey, for example, saying we're going to return to our aggressive ways. You expect the level 1. You expect the aggression, even though they went through some passive times. Seems like Kingzone maybe going for the next level. They wait, they wait, they wait, and now they're invading at 1 minute 30.
They have the blast cone to get over the wall as well. MLXG has no vision of this and no idea what's coming.
Oh, and he gets completely taken by surprise. First blood over to Kingzone. Prey cashes in on that one. They'll take the blue to go with it, and that is a massive success.
Exactly the way in which Kingzone want to start the game. Put MLXG behind, get Graves in the momentum advantage, and secure a first blood onto Prey.
You could say read like a book. They had the spoilers. Speaking of spoilers.
Here comes that lane power you were talking about. Xayah Rakan is going to be difficult to deal with if they get this kind of a lead early. Uzi takes quite a lot of damage there off the back of that initial play that was made onto the jungler.
Also able to slip some wards on the top side. That was before the defensive start that we saw, so they're able to know where he was likely to start. They come in, very nicely done by the side of Kingzone. And like you say, now they have Graves on the front foot, Peanut on the front foot, Peanut BDD. That's the duo that we say has been underperforming. Peanut can just walk up to enemy jungle, post 6 for Galio, and he knows his friend is coming faster.
And I love from Peanut that he hasn't even been into his own jungle yet. He's cleared the entire bottom side of RNG's half of the map, now level 3, and now he's decided, okay, now it's my turn to get a little bit of farm on my side of the map. This Graves is off to a phenomenal start, and MLXG is going to be very limited with the options that he has available in this early game. Remember, we said he wants to be finding these early advantages. Maybe when Jahu gets level 6, he can find a way back in, but he's going to be very disappointed when he finds there's nothing left for me to take.
He's certainly getting the bad news. He's going to have to try to fight for Scuttle, but we know that's taken as well, so very limited options here for MLXG.
MLXG just not even at level 3 yet, completely out of resources to try to take. He's going to walk down, attempt to look towards this red buff, but instead he finds a level 4 Peanut dashing over the wall, continuing to chase. It's flash for flash. MLXG trying to get himself away from this one, but there's no way out.
And that is a refresh red buff for Peanut, a level 2 Lee Sin in the early game, and this is falling apart for RNG.
Yeah, you definitely put up your hand as MLXG and say maybe next game, but it's not a scrim. We are on the live game here at MSI. So much control, and the only camp left up for MLXG is his Krugs.
And you know, we said at the very beginning of this game, we wanted to see a difference from RNG compared to the last time that they went up against Kingzone, because you have a look at some of the early game advantages from the last time that they met, and they were so significant. the RNG were not able to find a way back in. And MLXG doing what he can to find a path back into the game.
So if you notice here, Verius, he doesn't hit the Scryer. He doesn't want to be revealed. He just wants to go for a red buff steal, hoping Peanut's top side. He's not. BDD has the drop on him. Just too easy for KingZone.
But you just have to think about like his decision-making process there, because he recognizes the bot side of his map is cleared out. He sees that Scuttle has been done as well, and then he feels that, okay, maybe the enemy isn't in their own half of the jungle. He unfortunately is surprised that now he's still only level.
Because if you follow the theory, he took top side, and then you're thinking, okay, the enemy's going to take his blue, so that the blue buff is the natural place for him to go, because you're already thinking about vertical jungling. Instead, Peanut had gone bottom side. He got the drop. He was 2 levels up, and very simple there in terms of execution for KingZone to double down on MLXG.
Whenever I see Lee Sin, I always think this is a champion that I don't want to see sitting at 0-0-0 by the time he hits level 6. You want to see early game plays, but 0-2-0, not exactly the direction he'd like to be heading towards. MLXG 12 CS compared to the 40 of his opponent. Of course, that will go up to 16 compared to 40, but it's still not a situation he wants to find himself in.
Peanut currently has 2,200 total gold at 5 minutes into the game. He is the gold lead on KingZone right now, level 5, and so far ahead of anyone in the game.
A reminder that Jungle Camp's count is 4 CS. He has, well, 10 to about 2.5 here. So that's pretty anemic stuff for MLXG. And while the Lee Sin can get ahead and snowball on a Graves, doesn't want to face check a Graves at any point, and certainly not now. Kind of just about getting over level 4, and Peanut has the timers. He's already topside.
He knows he can invade like this. He's not afraid. BDD with
collapse.
that level 6 that can come to Peanut's aid if he needs to. Let Me wants to work around, try to buy his jungler just a little bit of breathing room here. MLXG gets over to the chicken pit, but there's only one big chicken left.
And let's consider what had to happen there. The top lane roamed down, the support roamed up, so that MLXG could get his Raptors. That is what they were fighting for. That's already a line in the sand for RNG. They know they need to stem the bleeding, and that is how small an advantage. They can't afford to give up more, because Peanut's a monster. He's level 6 with any more experience.
Now, MLXG can still, in theory, be relevant in a couple of late game fights when you think about his ability to ult a kick out to the Camille if she tries to ulti. Maybe if you do it before the Galio ulti, that initial engage from KingZone could be mitigated, but obviously you're thinking theory now and you're thinking best case scenario. In terms of the situation that RNG is in right now, things are looking dire, and MLXG will just hope to find a couple picks in the mid lane now that Xiaohu has hit that level 6 mark.
Yeah, one of those important timings was MLXG being level 5 or level 6 and actually trying to punish the Galio in lane. You can technically one rotation him down if everyone lands everything at their equal level. And not equal level, a level 6 is a long way away. So right now, burst rotation on a Catalyst Galio, it's not going to quite be there after all the nerfs to the Malzahar.
MLXG continuing to take the blue buff. Will actually take second blue just to get himself a bit more caught up in terms of the pace of this game, while Peanut looks to invade here towards second red. Level 6 on the Graves. Has the challenging smite as well. Very threatening in a duel situation. They'll look to take this one down rather quickly.
In these early levels, BDD will have priority over the middle lane because Xiaohu still getting a couple of extra points in his Malefic Vision. It's also rather easy for the Galio's passive to just clear out those little creeps as well that Malzahar does form. But now we see gank in mid.
Going after that Malzahar, not quite finding the damage they need. A good flash from Xiaohu will manage to get him away from that burst, but he still suffers quite a lot at the end of that.
BDD used zone flash, but it doesn't mean that Peanut can't continue to invade top of bot side and Galio still be able to rotate first. So trade of summoners, not a bad thing necessarily. Peanut was spotted by the shadow ward there that was put out by RNG.
Now Peanut just gets to head back into his own jungle yet again. He took the enemy red buff, now he can take his red buff. He's still in a very good spot in terms of his comparison to his progress against his opponent. 60 to 29 CS. He's got probably almost enough money for the full warrior enchantment soon as well.
We should discuss that that's the only meaningful lead. It is a big one, but the meaningful lead is between the junglers. Peanut's not present. It's much more even around the map. And also, the jungler getting a lead when it's a combat jungle like Graves who can struggle in the late game does mean that KingZone need to flex their muscles soon. They've got globals, they've got initiation. That Infernal Drake needs to be a target in the next 2 to 3 minutes.
MLXG with his level 6 finally online. hanging around the bottom lane, trying to make a play. Ming's able to find the knock up onto 2. They grab the kill onto Gorilla, and MLXG gets himself back into this game.
So RNG finally find a successful play in the bottom side of the map. Yes, it cost Ming's flash, but it secured the bot lane a kill and relieved some of that pressure. This is the best case scenario for RNG in this early game to, as you said, Flowers, get MLXG back into this game.
It's really nice timing as well. Galio's not actually in range to ult, so this is the timing you want. MLXG patient. He has hit the level 6 mark. He does have the kick available. Waiting for the timing here, MLXG. He was waiting for the call. We know Uzi usually leads these plays. They knew they had the damage and was well executed.
I love the fact that MLXG also flashed to kick in Gorilla to the wall so that he would be suspended in air for long enough that they would get that damage down and secure that kill for sure.
Sometimes it's not just the knock back, it's the knock up part of the kick that keeps him there just that extra little bit of time to seal the deal 100%. Xiaohu getting himself away in time as BDD tries to charge in. Peanut still waiting in the wings in this mid lane, paying a lot of attention to this, always hanging around this area.
Yeah, the big item lead is on the Graves. Already Warrior in chat, as we know. A lot of levels loaded into him as well, but bless his heart, MLXG still trying to make things happen. Doesn't have kick available for this gank.
Looks like Khan's not going to put himself in too dangerous of a position just yet. Let me continuing to push this one up. Bellows the breath out. Khan gets a little bit of damage there with the Tiamat. We'll see if he ends up taking the bait on this one. MLXG willing to hang around here.
Xiaohu also roaming up towards the top side. Keep your eyes on what BDD does, because Kingzone, they sense a disturbance in the force. Xiaohu will be spotted out, and then BDD secures his blue buff, and now Khan will be able to just safely walk away. No real risk of him getting collapsed upon. And I love the fact that RNG are still being proactive. They're the ones still looking for these early ganks, trying to find a couple of skirmishes, see if they can find this early lead and get themselves back into the game rather than just allowing Peanut to continue farming, get to that relevant point where they can just start forcing fight.
And this will sound insane, but actually the lowest risk thing for MLXG to do is to try these ganks, trying another one.
Khan might be in some danger here. Dodges away from the ultimate very, very well. Khan to the L play. Now can he get himself away from Let Me? A little bit more damage would seal his fate, but Khan's doing a wonderful job evading. It'll still be 1-for-1.
Khan's so reliable on dodging out on key spells with the ultimate. He does it there. Not quite the 1-for-2. The teleport cancelled by BDD. Seems like Peanut and the team of Kingzone just want to load the troops, take the Infernal, and they'll be pretty happy with a 1-for-1 in a 1v2.
Khan does it once again, demonstrating his proficiency on this champion. In a 1v2, finds the outplay, and his team is able to get something off the back of it as well. Kingzone just continuing to extend this early lead in their favor, even after all of MLXG's efforts.
And what I wanted to mention was, MLXG, if he goes to his camps, Graves is tracking them. He'll be there. If he goes for the ganks, much less likely, so the battle warning doesn't happen. Watching the outplay here, dodges so much damage with the ult. Gets the 1-for-1. That's just Khan on Camille, and it's something RNG did leave open and opt into.
Now, one of the big things was that Khan did use his flash in that gank, which means that MLXG could look for a reverse play once the ult is available. We see MLXG hang around the bottom river once again. He might look for another gank, or maybe he just like, oh, jungle camps. Finally, I have some farm.
Going back to his camps, but Xiaohu says, all right, you got to take second blue, but that's going to be about the end of it. Instead, it's going to be bottom lane. Gorilla going in onto Uzi, dropping the ignite, able to find the initiation. Uzi with an expert dodge to get away as Ming gets out as well.
Uzi was so good there, using his ultimate to dodge the skill shot and getting away from everything. They're still going to get turret damage, but that's the Uzi Kaiser that people have been waiting for.
Beautiful play, using his ultimate to go back into the fight, to then use the flash to get out. But Kingzone, they have 3 members bot side. A teleport is being forced from Xiaohu just to defend this turret in the early game. They want to keep the landing phase going just a little bit longer, but the fact that RNG were able to survive that gank is a successful thing to do, a great thing that you want to do, especially given the lead that Kingzone already had.
Yeah, really hype moment. They are able to delay the turret take, getting Prey and Gorilla out of lane. Definitely something that Kingzone want to do. If the Flash Rules have shown us anything, it's getting that first turret is absolutely one of the best indicators for success at MSI 2018.
All right, let's take a look at this upcoming Acer Predator replay to see exactly how Uzi got out of this one.
So you can see that Gorilla has the ulti, he has the flash and W engage. Ming knocks Prey away to mitigate as much damage as possible, and here, the ulti onto Gorilla, and then flash misplay from Prey, but also a good dodge from Uzi to be able to just avoid that situation and not end up losing his
Best 80 carries in the world, and Uzi and Prey are right up there. They look forward and say, what cooldowns do I have to respect, and how can I respect them? Peanut didn't use his ult early because he knew Flash and Ultimate were available. But it's definitely poetry in motion when you slow it down. Lovely stuff from Uzi.
Uzi keeping himself alive there means he's able to maintain his farm advantage down here in the bottom lane as well. Currently sitting on 139, tied for the highest in the game with his own mid laner, as both junglers are also looking to affect the bottom lane once more.
But the difference is BDD in the middle lane. He has the ultimate to join any fight, and he also has a TP advantage over Kingzone, but the collapse could come in from RNG.
BDD gonna find himself found out here. Xiaohu locking him down. MLXG grabbing the kick backwards. BDD pops the stopwatch, looking to stay alive. An extra moment, won't be able to get away. 1 versus 4, and Uzi cashes in.
Definitely a waste of stopwatch, and BD overrated how much control they actually had around the center of the mid lane. Bot lane, certainly they had pathways, but RNG had multiple wards already prepared. BDD assumed he was completely safe, and for RNG, easy set play, and I love the roam up from Uzi as well.
And I just love the fact that we're seeing RNG just be so proactive. MLXG was so far behind in farm, experience, and items. Now he's been able to close that gap and been able to set up his carries with a lot of early kills to close this early game differential.
And again, to reiterate the point, the reason why this happened was we already saw Peanut had perfect tracking of the timing of the respawns of camps. He was always going to be there first. The only way you can stop yourself being battle ward, and by that I mean just show up as a camp at the same time of Graves and be sad you're losing it, is to actually gank lanes, go for lane ganks, because that's the one area he's not going to be revealed when it comes to his positioning on the map.
As soon as MLXG had the ultimate available, you saw him looking to make plays with it. And honestly, he's 1-3-2. Yes, he is responsible for the deaths on his team, but he also has kill participation in all of their kills so far. Now, Kingzone grabbing themselves the first turret of the game there in the bottom lane, going to bring that gold lead up to a little under 2,000. They've still got themselves some advantage, but RNG is not going without a fight. MLXG now looking to steal the blue buff away from his opponents. You can see the on my way pings coming in from the teammates as well, but MLXG just going to secure that one for himself, as they'll also clear out some of those vision possibilities through the Scryer's Bloom.
Interestingly, we saw Prey and Gorilla push the minion wave all the way up to the tier 2 Terran bot because they recognized that Ming had left the lane and they had Peanut sitting in the river, ready to offer support should they need it. They're now, initially it looked like they were sending them towards the middle lane, but it seems like that they're prioritizing on securing themselves the Rift Herald, given the Malzahar at this point in the game will be difficult to siege against.
And I do love when the laning phase ends between two top teams, about the teams understanding where are we weak, where are we strong. That was the first moment where RNG could actually invade the blue and felt strong enough with a numbers advantage to get something topside, but they can't linger and pick up a Rift Herald. They can start looking towards the Drake the spawns, but the timers are offset. And because Kingzone, they don't necessarily need aggressive vision when they're strong. They can basically fight wherever Peanut is. When Peanut goes there, the rest of the team joins him. But MLXG, he's trying to be anywhere that Peanut is not.
If you can't deal with them, just deal without them. Avoid running into this guy whenever you can. That's the strategy right now, as Peanut and Prey will work together to take down the tier 1. Meanwhile, across the map, RNG returning the favor, taking down that bottom lane tier 1 turret of their opponents. Overall, it's going to be a 2-to-1 count at the end of the day, with Kingzone still maintaining that slight edge. They push now towards the tier 2, looking to go in. Gorilla going for a very far forward initiation. Gets himself bursted down.
So Gorilla goes in because he didn't want the Rift Herald to be interrupted, so he has to give up his own life. Malzahar is there. If the Ornn ultimate comes back, it's going to interrupt that very long channel from Peanut. Whether it's worth it or not kind of has to be decided in retrospect, but that is the thought process from Gorilla. He wasn't just in.
I mean, the whole decision-making and setup there from Kingzone was that they felt RNG would commit to the Ocean Drake on the bottom side of the map, and Kingzone wanted to secure 2 turrets in exchange for 1 and an Ocean. And logically, you think that makes sense, that is fair. The issue that they don't predict is that Xiaohu and the Alistar is coming up towards the top side. side, and Xiaohu with a good ultimate just completely mitigates the escape tools that Gorilla has, and then there's enough people there to stop the siege coming through, and they keep their tier 2 alive.
Yet again, good response from RNG
Definitely.
to Kingzone's plan of attack. Now this game down within 1,000 gold between the two. Infernal Drake versus Ocean Drake so far. But a big thing I'm looking at, guys, is the fact that Baron is going to be live here in just over a minute. Another big objective to play around. Another big thing that losing a fight or being on the wrong end of a rotation could spell.
Well, it's interesting that you mentioned Baron, because that kind of then leads us into the discussion of how they're able to get it. Because when you look at Kingzone's composition, it's very easy for them to get into the lanes first and push them out, so they can then gain control over River and dictate when and how the fights will start. And then you got to think about, how do these fights look? Because on paper, Kingzone, they just have the stronger comp.
Especially early. And now let's start following logic. We can spitball a little bit. Kingzone could have taken Rift Herald. They didn't have to spawn it instantly and gone bot lane and got the Ocean Drake. They could have taken both, because Peanut right now is kind of unassailable in any group fight if it's even numbers. They wanted to go for a secondary turret topside to open up the red side jungle, get the wards down. They have Graves and Xayah to kill the Baron, and their Baron turn with a Camille flank into the Galio ult is insane. They want to take Baron between 20 and 25 minutes. A secondary turret topside is one of the cleanest ways to do that. Their times have been delayed. The checklist, unfortunately, remains open, but that's where Kingzone are going. And RNG, if they can keep delaying, buying time, get Kai'Sa past the 2-item mark, where already she is very relevant. You look at her amount of attack speed right now, she does have enough for the E-Evolve.
Right, she's hit the breakpoint for that big bonus, getting the stealth, the invisibility there whenever she activates that. But there's items coming online across the board as well. You can see the Trinity Force completed for Khan. In the mid lane, Luden's Echo plus the Rylai's Crystal Scepter on Xiaohu. Still working on the Zhonyer's Hourglass across the street there for BDD. While in the jungle, Knight's Vow completed for MLXG is just more survivability for Uzi.
Yeah, and it's impressive that RNG have been able to maintain the gold gap between them and Kingzone, even close it that amount, because after Peanut had such a dominant early game, we were expecting the game to be over. We were expecting this to be a repeat as Ming engages.
Now they're able to find some damage against Prey. Now going to be taken down immediately. Gorilla gets himself away, but that's a free kill there for RNG.
This pick comp is so effective from RNG. They just lit it a couple of wards, but it is so difficult for Prey to respond if he does not see that engage coming. So much chain CC will result in RNG securing the mid lane tier 1.
Kingzone have already given up on trying to defend this mid lane. They've gone top and bot lane, but like you say, Vedius, a mid-game pick comp, the Malzahar Flash ultimate, still holds the same value. And remember, every pick slows down the team setups, the macro setups, the map movements, and it gets Kai'Sa more items. And the Kai'Sa win condition is what they're going to look to in the inevitable late-game team fights.
And remember, when Malzahar's in the game, you've got to pay the Malzahar tax. All he's got to do is point and click, and you're in some trouble. We'll see how it happens to Prey here. Ming goes in.
And he also had just wards over, spots him, headbutt pulverize, too easy. He wasn't sitting on a ward to start, but well intuited by Ming. Nice kill for the side of RNG.
This is why when I go into my solo queue games, I tell guys, I can't ward the bush because I might die. And this is the risk that you run, guys. You got to show the respect, you got to have a warding buddy, and you got to make sure that you have control before you try and go for those ward placements.
We'll see if Kingzone can follow the buddy system as this game goes on. 22 minutes in, and the goal could not be closer between the two squads. This is where it gets especially interesting. The early Kingzone leads have essentially evaporated. It's 2 turrets to 2 turrets. It's 1 Drake to 1 Drake. It's anybody's game to decide to be the ones who want to dictate where we go.
Now, off the map, Khan versus Let Me outside that big play we haven't been tracking. Let Me actually has a build for lane. He has Iceborne Gauntlet for trades and a Warmogs to shrug off any attempts at all-ins with the hook shot from Khan. So he's actually going to lose less space in the matchup than previous Ornn versus Camille matchups.
And I love that you mentioned that, because this was one of the big win conditions that I was going to be keeping my eye on for Kingzone. Can Khan do what he always does when he gets his hands on the Camille, which is sit in the side lane and draw so much pressure? Kingzone as a team, I believe, are the best 1-3-1 team at this tournament.
And the answer is slowly. Much slower than the other times, but still possible. But you have to like the build there, and also that they don't need Let Me to tank the Baron or just to be a solo initiator. Malzahar and Alistar pick up the slack when Let Me can't be there.
And let's not forget what's on the line here as we do hit this critical juncture of the game where it could go either way very easily. If Kingzone win this game and then RNG lose their next game, Kingzone is locked in to the knockout bracket. They will have secured their spot, but for RNG, if you win this game, you're now tied with Kingzone in the standings, making an even greater run, and now Let Me finds himself caught on the wrong end of a 1 versus 2. Khan made an outplay in a similar situation earlier, but can Let Me do it now? He's gonna have his jungler coming in, MLXG looking to keep him alive here. The Hextech ultimatum issue gonna be locking Let Me down. Damage returned onto Peanut, MLXG getting himself away. BDD into the back line, interrupts the Xiaohu ultimate, as now he looks to go up into the air with the hero's entrance. Uzi grabbing the kill onto Peanut. Khan gonna be going down next. Let Me goes on a killing spree, but now it's Gorilla into the back line, silenced up after getting off the quickness. Zaya ultimate comes down, BDD grabbing the kill onto Xiaohu. Now he's taken down, Uzi with the killing spree, as Gorilla looks to run away, leaving prey for dead. Let Me goes on a rampage, and MLXG will finish this one off.
What was an initial pick for Kingzone turns into an ace for RNG as they crush through Kingzone 5 for 1.
Intense fight, it goes a long time. The replay will shed more light into how it happened, but Let Me could not be slain. He's too damn tanky on the Ornn, and by the time the rest of the team got there for Kingzone, RNG outnumbered them. Peanut went down, and one by one, the dominoes fell.
Nothing but praise for Let Me as he bought so much time for his team to help him. Look at the positioning right now. Both the bottom lane members are in the middle lane, but he's just buying time, using his build to just get away from the duel of Peanut and Khan, and then the TPs come in.
So many little things. Khan having to position topside, he didn't get kicked out of the ultimatum and ended early. The interruption on the Malzahar ultimate, not enough. Another interruption, this time by Ming onto BDD. And Prey and Gorilla are not there. The rotation will be faster for the Uzi. Had a lovely dodge on the back end with a killer instinct. Another great Uzi moment on the Kai'Sa. The Kai'Sa laning phase no longer relevant. The Kai'Sa is certainly online. And RNG's team fighting this time, too strong for Kingzone.
RNG are just such a good team fighting team. We've talked so much about it throughout this tournament. Yes, this split, they've changed up their style a little bit. They're not so reliant on the team fighting, but when you get to the late game, when Uzi has a hyper carry, these guys always perform in the 5v5.
And when you have these big lumbering tanks already using Hextech Ultimatum, already using the other tools, you can't lock down Uzi. He's free hitting on this Kai'Sa. All about the E upgrade, all about the passive missing health damage. He was under no threat, and thus the members of Kingzone were done.
Last time we checked in on Uzi, he also had 2 items plus the boots completed. Now the Mercurial Scimitar fully completed as well. Means even if you lock him down, you've got to do it again because he can pop that first CC, get himself back in a position where he can dart around and carry these fights. Kingzone now find themselves a couple thousand gold behind. They now find themselves in a tied state in terms of the Infernal Drakes on both sides, and RNG just seem to be falling into their groove.
And you just you go back to the beginning of the game and you remember how behind MLXG was and how far ahead and how much control Peanut had over the game. And MLXG just went for this heavy gank style, constantly just looking to get involved in the lanes, and it paid off. The first time that Kingzone tried to be proactive on the bot side of the map, RNG once again turn it around, and they're now the ones dictating the pace of the game.
And it feels weird to be celebrating MLXG, but the ability from so far behind to be relevant was massive. He's going to fight already.
Able to find lockdown onto Gorilla. Uzi goes on a rampage, bursting him down, as now the damage coming out from Peanut may take Uzi out, but the Acadian Rain looking to stop him in the back line. It's also RNG now waging a war behind them as a double kill for Uzi takes Peanut out of the picture. Prey will hold the line onto the tier 1. Khan wanting to come in, clean Uzi up a little bit here. Instead, not going to be able to find the mark just yet. Issues the ultimatum, but Uzi's got the damage. You don't run into Kai'Sa like that, as RNG will continue looking to finish this off, go for another ace. BDD on the front line, Taunt's not going to find a lot. Xiaohu trying to run away, utilizes the stasis to keep himself alive. Uzi goes godlike, Xiaohu stays alive, and it's another clean ace for RNG.
RNG out team fighting Kingzone again. Kingzone can't get the start they want. They can't get the ultimatum where they need it. And RNG, no one dies because those plays are outrageous.
You can hear the elation in the crowd as RNG do it once again. Their second ace of the game, their first Baron of the game, and the tournament favorites of Kingzone are looking to get their potential third loss of the tournament.
No deaths on Uzi, no deaths on Ming, no deaths on Let Me. RNG is playing these team fights so fantastically well, and now they find themselves 7,000 gold ahead, 5 men strong with a Baron buff.
One by one, they tried to challenge Uzi on the top side, and one by one, they were found wanting. Look, it's actually Peanut and BDD looking to catch him in rotation. Instead, Gorilla, thanks to the Malzahar, starts it, and then trying to outplay a Kai'Sa. That's a tricky one, Vedius.
It's the shield on the ulti that just makes the difference. Uzi, he gets low, he starts the lifesteal back, and you think that with Camille coming in from the flank, it would be enough, but the support from Let Me, the teamwork from RNG, and the fact that Xiaohu survived the very end of the fight with the Locket of the Iron Solari and the Lee Sin shield, everything just came together. RNG, the true teamfight gods.
And you can see on the graph right here, 0 damage dealt by Gorilla because he was picked off before he could contribute whatsoever. Prey now having to burn the ult immediately, also utilizing the flash, getting himself away. Ming tanking up the turret, MLXG goes for a play but can't quite find it. Tier 2 still falls.
And RNG are going for the jugular, looking for those last kills, try to end the game. They know Camille is in a side lane and doesn't have teleport. 2 people go down, the game may end, whether Camille backs or not.
Kingzone gets a little bit of breathing room right now. They managed to make their opponents get back. Khan's pressure will be enough to satiate the RNG bloodlust for the moment. But remember, there's still another 2 minutes or so of that Baron left as Xiaohu starts pushing out the top side.
You know, and I feel a part of this is a result of Kingzone not typically oh, hang on, Uzi.
Oh, legendary!
The hunter finds its prey. Uzi gets himself another kill onto Peanut and reminds him, this is for MLXG and what you did at the beginning of the game.
And when RNG have map control, you can start assassinating. As Uzi, you have the Mercurial Scimitar to go out. You were legendary a while ago. You're 9-0-4 at this point. They roll up to another objective, and any one member is free food for Uzi.
And now, Peanut, the man who was so far ahead at the start of the game, is dead for another 15 seconds as RNG are knocking on the top lane door. Uzi being the man behind the entire thing, leading the charge. He's got the damage, fires off the rocket, can't quite find anything with it, no plasma marks. MLXG and Ming doing a good job being on that front line, being those disruptors. But it looks like RNG are going to decide to back away from this one, taking the turret.
And Let Me has set up the wave in mid. They could choose to continue the siege, but they recognize Peanut is respawning. There's an Ocean Drake coming up soon. Let's go back, maybe spend some of our gold, and let's not need to never mind, it's RNG. They've decided they're going to keep the push going anyway.
RNG see no reason to stop just yet. They know right where Khan is. They don't have to worry about that split push win condition. Uzi remains in firing range of the inhibitor, getting himself away now from the smoke screen. Top lane inhibitor falls as Gorilla decides it's time to go. Immediately shut down as the Ornn ult comes through, and Kingzone are completely destroyed. BDD will only buy a few more moments. A double kill for Uzi spells the end as RNG begin their push onto the Nexus turrets. Let Me tanks them up, and they don't even tickle the health bar. Khan now contained by the CC as Uzi decides to go deep under the enemy turret, not even concerned about it. Hex tech ultimatum, I don't care. RNG will tie themselves up with Kingzone. They'll take them down in the 1v1. They'll get revenge.